Hey, John, Michael, and Jamie, I just got done watching your Zoom meeting video. Found it very interesting. Rather than just reply with some comments, I have a lot to say, so I figured I'd make a return video, if you will, to add some insight into the conversation that you guys had. Hopefully you find it insightful. Before I get into my comments, Jamie, I want you to know that I've been a huge follower of yours for a long time. I actually discovered you through Tim Ferriss's book, The 4-Hour Body. I still remember the stories of him carrying a heavy bag through a snowstorm so he could work out with you. Because of that book, I literally strapped a heavy ball, a medicine ball, to a tree in my backyard and had my son and his buddy work on those angles that you talk about. And so I'm very excited about the front arm progression and how you've evolved in your teaching. Like I said, I've been following you for a long time. I have utilized your techniques with my son, one of his friends, and I can tell you they are the hardest hitting guys on a select baseball team at 13 years old, and a very good baseball team. We went 17-7 last year, or last fall. So the one kid on my team it is the best pound for pound hitter on the baseball team, and I'm convinced it's because of your methodology of teaching baseball. So what I want to hit on in particular here is, at one point in the conversation, John Michael asked the question, what is the kinematic sequence? So let me give you a little bit of background, and I'm not going to get too far in the weeds on this, but I am an on-base university certified hitting and pitching instructor, and the core tenet around this certification course is understanding the kinematic sequence. And here's the thing, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I personally believe that the front arm progression that Jaime teaches is, with or without his intent, is the most efficient way possible to teach proper kinetics. So let me repeat that. I am a firm believer that Jaime's front arm progression series is the most efficient way for anybody to learn the proper kinetics that should be employed during a baseball swing. As you alluded to, John, it doesn't mean you have to understand the kinematic sequence because the progression will teach it, but you asked about it, so let's get into kinetics and how that relates, because to me, I get the impression that someday, Jaime said it best, that you may want to be a hitting instructor. So the kinematic sequence, currently, with all of the gadgets and measuring devices, at this point in time, understanding of the baseball swing from a human efficiency standpoint is known. Now, what I mean by that specifically is professional baseball players, guys who hit the ball harder than anybody else, pound for pound guys, big guys, the guys who generate the most velocity, the exit velo with their bats, that data exists now. And what they have learned over time is that the bodies that operate the most efficiently and generate the most power work through a certain sequence, and that sequence is through the ground up. So John, the kinematic sequence would be measuring the angular velocity of the hips relative to the torso, which then fires, relative to the shoulders, which then fire, which then generates energy to your hands and then fire. That's the kinematic sequence. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now those things have to go in certain orders, 1, 2, 3, 4, and at certain speeds to generate the highest velo. Again, I think the front arm progression series that teaches you front humerus compression, back arm that's acquiesced to the front arm, is the most efficient way to get there. However, this is critical. I think as instructors, we make a mistake if we assume that boys and young men and guys like you, John, by just doing the front arm progression, can get to the best swing possible. And here's exactly what I mean by that. Let's talk about the other player on my team besides the son that I've worked with a lot. And he is the best pound for pound hitter on our team. At the same time, he's also defensively, he's one of our top 2 catchers. He's one of our top pitchers. He's a backup first baseman. He'll play third base, right field, left field. He's a utility player. Not a big kid, athletic as hell. Now, I ran him through what we call functional movement screens, which is where you test mobility in certain parts of your body. I'll give you two examples. One of them is, you put your feet out in front of you, you stand up, you squat down, and you have to have the ability to touch the ground and raise back up without getting your back heels off the ground. Another one would be external rotation of the shoulder, where you should be able to get your palm past your shoulder without any extra effort. And this particular player, he failed half the screens. Now, he was one of the best hitters on the team, but yet he failed these movements, so I'm kind of contradicting myself. Actually, what I mean by this is, I'm a firm believer that if I can get him to get unlocked and get flexibility in his joints, that he's even going to be better defensively and hitting. And where I'm going back to this mistake we make a mistake that these boys and young men and these college athletes have full range of motion in all areas of their body, and it's a huge assumption that shouldn't be made. And I think there are two reasons that are causing these issues. The first one is screen time. This looking down at something, and it's required at school now with computers, phones, tablets. There's a lot of this locked in, which causes, and I can speak to this from personal experience, issues through your neck, your back, your lower body, your hips. The second one, and Jamie's hit on this several times, has to do with weight training. I was real big into lifting weights at one point in time in my life. I still do some weight training, but I'm much more into dynamic movements now. I'm getting older. I don't want my joints to hurt. I know that kids in high school and middle school even are taught, basic bench press movements, deadlifts. I think it's borderline criminal for what we're doing to these kids because, number one, somebody's not monitoring them closely to make sure they're performing these movements in the most efficient way and safe way possible. Number two, putting on muscle. We know lifting weights puts on muscle, but it's putting on muscle in a way that oftentimes is going to prohibit flexibility and proper movement. So if you are getting strong, but you're locked in, in your core, let's say with your hips, and you've got no ability to disassociate with one another, you're going to have an inefficient swing. And I don't care how many times you do the front arm progression, if you're not going hips and then torso and shoulders and arms, which the front arm progression promotes, you're going to be losing power. Okay? And so, and let me hit on a little bit of instructional stuff too. A little bit of a sidebar here. In your Zoom meeting, you guys talked about the arm bar. So I'm going to expand upon that. And I've been around a lot of instructors now. I've seen a lot of select baseball. Been doing this for a number of years. And I hear coaches talk about arm bar, and I'm a big believer in what Jaime teaches, and I kind of laugh. And so let me tell you what coaches are seeing and how we have to go to the next level. Where is the evolution of instruction going? So right now, if you see a kid in the cage, and he's got front humerus compression, but his right arm is connected, and he's hitting the crap out of the baseball, you're not going to hear a coach go, "Hey man, you're arm barring." Well, no, you're not going to say that. He's killing it. Conversely though, you have front arm compression, and this right arm is very active, and it's way out in front of the shoulders, okay? And the swing is around here, which we call a gate swing. The uneducated coach is going, "Hey, you're arm barring." They're pointing out a part of the swing that looks wrong to them because that's what they see. They don't look at video. They don't slow things down. What their eye is telling you is, I'm seeing this straight arm, and I'm seeing this guy way out here, and he's swinging a gate. And so his problem is he's arm barring. When that's not the problem at all. So until these instructors wake up and they start looking at video and start analyzing to figure out where is the maximum, what is the maximum, the most efficient way to swing possible using the front arm progression, we're going to be stuck in this negative feedback loop with instruction. So going back to you, John, and how I can hopefully help you with this, hopefully you understand more about what the kinematic sequence is and how it relates to the front arm progression, which again, I'll restate it, I feel is the easiest and fastest way to learn the best kinematics in a baseball swing. But I would also just offer up, go get tested with what they call a functional movement screen, and make sure that your body is operating as efficiently as possible, because I think you might be surprised that you have a lack of mobility. It may be in your ankles, it may be in your hips, in your torso, in your wrists, and make sure that you're taking care of your body, so the time that you do spend with the front arm progression is maximized. Hopefully you guys got something out of this, and Jamie, I look forward to future videos and possibly having a conversation with you one day about all this stuff, because I do feel you're on the right track. I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Let's not get rid of kinetics without understanding that bad body movements and bad flexibility, I don't care how much you do front arm progression, if you're locked up, you're not going to get out of it what it's there to teach you. So thanks a lot, fellas. Good call. Have a great day.